Hi, I'm Anthony Parolin from RCC Waterproofing, and today we're going to be explaining the process of the internal drainage system. So now that we've started this project, I'm going to take you into the other room there and show you basically the start of the internal drainage system. We've completed the demolition in this room here. We've broken the floor. We're excavating for the weeping tile. Once the excavation's been completed, we're then going to drill the bleed holes in the block foundation here, install the weeping tile, and connect it to a sump, which will be going in the other room. So basically, the internal drainage system is designed to de-water the home. And what that means is basically you're taking the water from a weeping tile internally and discharging that, whether it be to a sump pump, a natural drainage, or floor drain, or any type of discharge that will allow the water to exit on the property. You can see the guys are breaking the floor, excavating, creating an area that they can install the weeping tile for the drainage. And what that means is basically we're taking the concrete out around the perimeter of the foundation, which will allow us to install a weeping tile, which will then be discharged into a sump. So internal drainage systems can be installed in basically any foundation that has a foundation wall with a footing. If you come into contact with a home that's basically built on a monolithic slab, which is a slab on grade, then the internal system will not be the right solution. This basement was finished originally, so in order to do the internal water management system, we're going to have to basically demo around the perimeter of the foundation where we're going to be installing the internal drainage system. Basically, the demo would have to be done to grade elevation on the exterior. We have piled up all the demo over here, ordered a bin, and we're going to load this into a bin and dispose of it off-site. Once the demo has been completed, we're then going to break the floor. We're then going to drill holes in the bottom block, which are basically bleed holes, which allow the water to drain out of the block. That water will then gravitate into the weeping tile and then exit. We'll also install a membrane, which is a dimpled sheet of membrane along the foundation wall, which will capture any water from any higher elevation within the block area. After the weeping tile have been installed and the membrane have been installed, 3/4 clear gravel will go on top of that in order to create proper drainage. Once that's been completed, we will then reinstall the concrete to its natural existing height, and therefore the internal water management system will be completed. So the options of waterproofing the foundation from the exterior and doing the internal drainage system are basically, the difference would be on the exterior, you're waterproofing the foundation, you're solving the water from coming in from the foundation and then allowing it to exit on the exterior with the weeping tile. The internal, you're basically managing the water. So in other words, the water is still coming in, but you're basically collecting it and then having it discharge. There's different reasons why people opt for the internal drainage system. The first thing is basically, if you can't get excavation on the exterior, which is waterproofing, then obviously you have to have an alternative, which would be an internal drainage system. So as you can see in this location here, where we can't access the outside, we're then going to install the internal system. So one thing that you have to understand is every internal drainage system is designed differently. And what I mean by that is everybody has a different volume of water entering into the home. So therefore, if you have a high level of water entering your home, you may want to opt for a battery backup sump pump or a triple guard, which will allow you to discharge the water at a higher rate. If you do not have a battery backup discharge and your home is not running on a generator and the power goes out, therefore the sump will fail. So therefore it is highly recommended to go for the battery operated sump pump, if not the triple guard sump pump as well, or if you do have a generator, which is recommended as well, would be ideal. The one thing that you got to be careful about when installing a sump pump is where you're discharging the pump. You want to pick a location on the property where you have good drainage that's going to fall away from the property and not going to cause any issues with regards to flooding in an area where there's a play area for the kids or a driveway that can ice over. So once you do that walk around the property and find the best location for it, that's where you're going to install the sump pump. Internal drainage systems are also installed for what's called hydrostatic pressure, which is basically groundwater. So in order to contain the water, we have to install weeping tile on the inside of the property and basically put ribs across the floor to gather all the water up and then have it exit into a sump pump. When assessing a basement leak and we find out that it's basically hydrostatic pressure and not a foundation leak, the internal drainage system would be your only option for this case. Therefore, what that means is basically groundwater coming up and pushing its way through the cold joints. which is basically around the perimeter of the foundation where your floor meets your foundation wall, and any structural cracks within the floor, you will see seepage coming out of that. Therefore, the internal drainage system is your best option. So some customer asks, can they be home during the process? Absolutely. Basically, we need access to the basement and have an entry point to get out to bring the material out. There is minimal noise from the beginning. Obviously, we're breaking the floors and doing the demo. So therefore, minor dust will come into play. But other than that, we pretty much contain the area and keep it all isolated to the basement area. So therefore, you are able to stay home during the process. I think one of the most unforeseen issues you could have installing the internal drainage system is after breaking the floor, find out there's a high content of iron. And what that does, it basically clogs the weeping tile and doesn't allow drainage. So therefore, in order to have that system operate properly, we have to install what's called flush ports. So basically they're ports that you have access into it that you can flush yearly in order to obviously clean the piping and make sure that the iron doesn't collect around the piping and not allow proper drainage.